Okay, done bought us to the hood, y'all. Alright. So we came to look for some clothes. Huh? Look nice. You know the hood is where you find the best clothes, best food. So that's where we at. Leave it to Lucky to find something like that. Exactly. Leave it to her to find something like this, but we trying to find her short dress. Y'all see these mannequins, boy? They got some thumpers on these, man. What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
How I can find it? Just say
Huh?
that. How I can find it? Just say that.
I don't know. You see anything you like? So you're ready to book your flight, pack your bags, and do what millions and millions of people around the world do every year, which is travel. But I'm here to just share with you guys some things that I've learned since traveling. I've been living and traveling around the world for about 12, 13 years. I'm 32, so I've been traveling the world since I was 19 years old, traveling and living around the world. And I just wanted to share with you guys a lot of things that I've noticed and a lot of things that people may not talk about when it comes to traveling. So this is the dark side of travel that no one talks about. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The first dark side of travel that you want to talk about is safety. Now, everywhere on earth has its good areas and its bad areas, and places that are more tourist friendly and safe and other places that are not. But if you are a first time traveler and if you're a first time traveler or if you're new to traveling, these are things that you have to be aware of, because at least if you're in your own country, your own city, you know what areas to avoid and what areas to be able to go to and have fun. But in a lot of other places, you may not know. You may not understand which areas are good, which areas are a little less safe, and that can be a major concern, man. So you definitely want to check up, do your research, make sure you know where you are, make sure you know where the good areas are, the not so good areas, so you can know where to go and where not to go. I think that's pretty simple, but it's just one of them things you have to know while traveling, because you are not home. And the last thing you want to do is get into a situation in another country, maybe on the other side of the world or very far away, to where you don't have anybody that can help you or assist you. So safety is a top concern. It should always be your top concern. Even things such as figuring out what types of things go on. If there's a lot of pickpocketing going on, you might want to get a different type of way to carry your money. You might just want to go places with somebody, buddy up, or just think about different things, scams that could happen. Also, you want to be aware of any political things going on in the country you're going to. You just want to make sure there's nothing going on that could potentially affect you. Last thing you want to do is land in a country like I just did in Nairobi, Kenya a few weeks ago.
Violence and unrest hit the streets of Nairobi this week, with 31 people killed during anti-government protests Monday.
And there became a bunch of protests because they were protesting the government and all that type of stuff. There are times where you can go somewhere and people can be protesting with the government, or they could be possibly chances of war. There's people that go on vacations and a war break out while they there and they didn't even know. So the last thing you want to do is have that happen to you. So you want to make sure you know what's going on politically where you're planning on going, because you don't want to get there and have something crazy happen. So make sure you just check the news, look at what's going on, some current events, just do some research before you travel to make sure nothing crazy happens while you're there because of political situations and things that you might not even have thought of. So next thing is going to be language barrier. Now, unless you're going to a country that speaks mostly the same language that you speak, there may be a language barrier at times. You may go places and people may not speak your language. If you're an English speaker, people may not speak English. It may not be a heavy English speaking population in that country. So in times like this, you're going to have to figure out ways to communicate with the people, translate. Most of the time, if you're going to be in any tourist area of a place, most of the time they'll have people that speak English. Your hotel staff will probably speak English, but there are a lot of places like Brazil, for instance, like there's not many people that speak a lot of English. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure you either have translating apps, or you want to brush up on some of the language of the place that you're going before you get there. So if you're going to a place that's a Spanish speaking place, you might want to brush up on your Spanish a little bit, at least enough to ask, okay, how do I get here? Hello, thank you, how much is this? Things like that. so that when you're having conversations, you can kind of have a feel for what you're doing. So I would say try to practice, use Duolingo or any other language learning app where you can sit and learn for a little bit before you go. And that also shows the people that you're trying to get acclimated to, their culture and things like that as well. So that can also help, and that can help you immerse yourself more into the culture if you learn a little bit of the language of the place that you're trying to go to. Next is going to be infrastructure. Now, there are certain places where the infrastructure may not be as similar as it is to your place. If you're from a Western nation, sometimes you may go to some places and the infrastructure may be a bit different. For instance, when I was in Uganda a few years ago, my power went out for like 15 hours and I was tripping because I'm like, how does something like this happen? But you have to understand, man, some places you're going to go to may not have the best infrastructure, and things like power outages may happen, water issues could happen, your Wi-Fi may be super, super slow, and those are just things that you have to consider when traveling, because everywhere is not going to have the greatest of infrastructure around it. And if you're somebody that's used to super fast Wi-Fi, or you don't want to deal with cold showers, because that could happen as well. Sometimes you may not get hot water. Even if you staying in some of the best areas, it still could possibly happen. So you just got to understand, if you're going to somewhere where the infrastructure may not be as good, those are things that you have to look out for. But there's also an opposite of that, because you might go somewhere where the infrastructure is light years ahead of where you from, like a Tokyo or something, for instance. Like, I was amazed when I was there. So that's just one thing you have to take into consideration, that infrastructure of places may be a bit different than what you're used to at home. Next is going to be culture. So culture could be a good thing and it could be a negative thing at the same time. When you're traveling, of course you're traveling to see people's culture, see the different sides of the world, try people's food, and just dive into where you're at. But you also have to think about cultural norms as well in certain places. So if you're going to somewhere, say in the Middle East, there might be a certain way that you might want to be dressed to not stick out. Now, it may not be illegal in some place, but they might have different rules to where, okay, it's kind of not a social norm to look that way. Or you can go to places where it might not be normal or culturally normal for them to see certain activities that you might think is normal. So you have to understand that. And on the flip side, there might be things that people in a lot of other countries do that you may look at like we would never do that at home. But you just have to understand that you're in a different place and cultures are different. And sometimes people's cultures may clash, because you might go somewhere and they have something that's kind of about their culture, and you don't really rock with it. But just always remember, man, you're a visitor in the country that you're going to, man. Nobody asked you to come. So just try to be respectful of people's cultures as much as you can when you're traveling, because just because something may not be the norm to you, you have to realize that you're in their house. And when you're in somebody else's house, you kind of got to play by their rules. Even if some things you may not agree with, because I have friends that are trying to build houses and stuff in other places. And sometimes, cultural differences, could cause issues, because you're used to one way of business, and here they do business a different way. So sometimes those are things that you have to definitely worry about, especially if you're planning on being an expat. If you're just traveling for vacation, it's not something that you really have to worry about too much, because of the fact that you're 9 times out of 10 going to be there for a couple weeks and you're going to leave. But if you're planning on living overseas or living in a certain country, you're definitely going to have to come to terms with cultural differences, because you're going to be there for a long period of time. So just another thing to look out for, man, on your travel. Next is going to be routine. And when I say routine, for me specifically, traveling around the world full time, it kind of makes it hard to get into a routine, because you're not sitting still for a long period of time. Like, the longest time we may sit in a place is about a month, and we're working and grinding, trying to get vlogs out and all that. So when you're constantly moving around so much, it's very, very difficult to get yourself in a routine, even like going to the gym and trying to eat healthy, or anything you're trying to do to kind of lock in. It's kind of harder to do when you're moving around so much. Yeah, that's actually light, because that's kind of, to me, I feel like that's more about yourself. No matter how long you're somewhere, you should try to stay in your routine. But you can ask anybody to travel a lot, it's hard to just keep yourself in a certain rhythm when you in a new place so often. But that's just another thing I think you should take into consideration. Next is gonna be connections, man. When you're traveling so much, it's very hard to build connections with other people as far as friendships because you're not there for too long. If you're gonna expat and sit in one country, you can definitely do that. But even expatting, most people like living overseas, they may end up trying a new country and all that. So the connections and bonds that you make sometimes can be fleeting because you're not going to be there as often. You guys might not see each other. So it's kind of hard to maintain long friendships or whatever. But that's just how it is. But if you are able to sit down for a long period of time and, lock in and stay in one place, then you can definitely build a lot of connections. But if you're planning on traveling full time or traveling very often, that's going to be difficult. And the last thing that I'm going to end with, which I think may be the biggest thing that people don't talk about when it comes to traveling, is how much it costs. It costs a lot of money to travel constantly, travel a lot. Traveling is not cheap. And I think that's another thing that people may have misconstrued, especially if you're taking long flights, intercontinental flights. They're not cheap at all. Like, I've probably spent, and I'll be honest, in the last year, maybe $40,000, $35,000, $40,000 travel. Now, that's a lot of people yearly salary, and that's Airbnbs and flights. That's not even counting in for a lot of the other stuff. But mind you, there is two of us, so I mean, you could take some off of that, because if you're traveling by yourself, then it might not be as much for you. But take in mind, there's two of us, so you could take some off of that. If you're traveling by yourself, it may not be as much for you. But if you're traveling with more than two people, it's going to be more for you. You know what I'm saying? If you got 3-4 people you're going to be traveling with, it's going to be even more than that. So cost is a big thing in travel, and I think that's the thing that keep a lot of people from being able to do it, because it does cost a lot of money to travel a full-time travel schedule. That's just what it is. That's the reality. But it is something you're definitely going to have a significant amount of income to be able to do. But if you got everything in order, you got a remote job, you retired or whatever, then it shouldn't be a problem for you. Now, to wrap it up, the question is it worth it? To me personally, all in all, man, I still think that traveling the world is worth it, no matter what the downsides are. Everything in life has good things and bad things. Everything has pros and it has cons. So no matter what you do in life, things aren't going to always be good. Now, world traveling is something that opens you up to different cultures, different life experiences, man, just a different view of the world overall. And I kind of think in the end, it's priceless. And you can't really put a price on experience, because you're going to spend money, you're going to make money. You can't take the money with you. But the one thing you'll always have is your memories and the experiences of seeing the world and the connections that you make while traveling, man. So even though there's cons, I still think the pros outweigh it, man. So that's the video for today, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. We on the way to 100K. We working, we grinding. We gonna get there, man. I love y'all as always. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next adventure, man. Peace.
Overseas, couple G's and expenses. Gotta get it, I've been different since the entrance.